What's up, YouTube? It's your boy JB, and I'm here tonight with the review for the Real Housewives of Atlanta. It's season 11, and this is the reunion part number 2. So, before we even get started with the video, I do want to point something out to you guys. This is a review, where I come on my camera, I talk about the episode, I give my opinions about what I saw on the show. So if you guys are Nene fans, that's fine. I'm not knocking anybody that's a Nene fan. I used to be a Nene fan back in, the early seasons. But up until late, she's turned me off. Now, I had a comment last week and it didn't bother me. I just want to address it, because the comment said I was negative. I didn't say nothing nice about Nene. Well, in the reunion, she hasn't given anything nice or positive to say about her. And then, they're talking about I don't know her. You're absolutely 100% correct. I don't know Nene. I just know what I'm seeing on the television screen. And they're not acting. Those are those women's real lives. Because I'm pretty sure that if Greg was acting, he would love to be acting like he has cancer. But unfortunately, he's not acting like he has cancer. He does have cancer. So just putting that out there. We can have a difference of opinion. We can agree to disagree. I love it when people get in my comments and don't necessarily see things the way that I see. That's fine. Because I'm one person and, my views are not the same as everybody else's. But the general consensus in my comments last week was everyone else said that she was negative, and everybody, there were people who used to be fans of Nene's, but this season has turned them off to Nene. So it's not just me that felt that way. But I just want to put that out there. And again, no hard feelings. I love when people have a difference of opinion than me, and I'm just spitting like a motherfucker. But I love when people have a difference of opinion from me. That's what makes the world go around. When people, can be like, hey, I don't agree with what you said about this, but I see your viewpoint. And I saw people's viewpoint. I could see the viewpoint. That it might look like I was negative, but I wasn't being negative. I was just, giving my opinion on what I saw in part 1 of the reunion. And it's going to be pretty much the same in part 2 of the reunion. So, again, we can have a conversation. We can, agree to disagree. I'm cool with that. But once that video is posted, that's it. We can sit here and, talk about the show. But after the video is posted, I'm done. Especially on a Monday or a Tuesday or Wednesday, especially on a Monday. Because most times on Mondays, I'm watching Ashley Miller. Well, I watch Ashley on Sunday nights, and then I watch Bondi Blue. I watch, Color Me Pink. Her name is Keisha. I watch Forest Rocks on Monday. So, I watch everybody. So, again, you guys, if we disagree, that's cool. No skin off my back, and should be no skin off your back. You can just be like, you know what, I didn't agree with what you said, and we can have a conversation, because I talk to all my subscribers. I talk to everybody who comments on my videos. We can just have a conversation. And I just want to put that out there. Again, not mad. Just want to put that out there. All right, so the reunion. We opened up the reunion. We're talking about Candy, and we're talking about Portia and their relationship. So right now they're on good terms with one another. But, they have to reevaluate some things within the relationship. So then Portia was talking about how, she was just pissed off about the whole Jamie situation. And Candy was like, well, I didn't just hear it from Jamie. I heard it from other people. And Portia was like, that's not what I'm talking about. Not the fact that, Jamie was telling you XYZ. Although Jamie doing that was kind of fucked up in its own self. Portia's whole thing was the fact that Jamie brought on Dennis's ex-girlfriend and gave the bitch some camera time, which I would be pissed off about that too. Like, first of all, y'all brought this girl on camera to talk about me and her boyfriend at the time when they were filming. Like, I thought it was tacky and classless. Well, not classless, but I thought it was a little bit tacky for them to be sitting there, chit-chatting about Portia, knowing full well that Jamie and Portia are not cool. And then, Candy and Portia at the reunion last year said that they were going to let bygones be bygones. But then we start this season out, and we talking about Dennis, his ex-girlfriends, his tattoos, and all that shit. So I definitely, get where Portia was coming from with that. So then we talk about the party and, Portia getting kicked out of the party. So, Candy, and then Andy asked the question, well, how could you say that Portia did that when you firsthand didn't see it yourself? Candy was like, well, multiple people told me that Portia walked up on a girl and then said, what's up? What's up? And I can't imagine that she just walking up to her saying, what's up? How are you doing? Trying to speak to the girl, basically. And, So they then start talking about Portia. You know, at the party, they said that Portia was drinking, and Portia was like, "Girl, I wasn't drinking. I was 3 months pregnant." She said, "No, you was not, because you got pregnant in June, and Todd's birthday was in June, and yes, you. It was June, something about June, and then we moved to August." And that was just 2 months. That was just a month. You was just a month pregnant at that time. Oh, because Portia was saying she was showing, but Todd's birthday was in June, so they had the party in August. Okay, if you say so. But then they show up, you know, and Ken's like, "I got pictures of you drinking," and Portia was like, "Yeah, that might have been a mocktail that I was drinking. That might not have been an actual, you know, an actual alcoholic beverage." And then, you know, he was like, "Well, you know, you can't drink red wine when you're pregnant." And Portia was like, "Girl, I didn't do that either. Like, what you talking about?" So then a viewer asked a question about, you know, Nene. How did she feel when Portia said, why did she blast Portia the way that she did? When in Portia's interview, she said that Nene was going to be upset about her because, you know, when Kandi was not supposed to tell Portia the whole stuff that was going on, but then Nene went ahead and told Portia. And Nene was like, you know, she was just been a ride or die. I'm like, okay, Nene, if you say so. If you have been a ride or die, that's cool. Nothing's wrong with that. You know, but don't sit here and play like, you know, you don't know who said it. There's nothing wrong with her telling Portia, hey, you know, Kandi heard this, Kandi said that, XYZ. That is a part of being a good friend. And that is a part of being a ride or die. You know, don't let nobody talk about your ride. Don't let nobody talk about your friend behind their back. You go to, when you hear, if you hear it, go to your friend and be like, hey, I heard somebody that you're not that cool with said XYZ about you. So I'm not going to fault Nene for that. But what I am going to fault Nene for is the fact that she tried to play like she never said anything. But then at the reunion, she said that she did say it. Like, which one is it? Like, and again, I get her being a ride or die. There's nothing wrong with that. But it was just the fact that she tried to play like she never said it. And she was just pissed off at that. Which I don't get why you were pissed off about it if you said it. But we're going to move on from that. So, and then Portia apologizes to her for doing it. I'm like, girl, what the fuck you apologizing to her for? It ain't nothing to apologize for. She said what she said. We're going to use her own words. I said what I said. And we're going to keep it rocking, keep it pushing. So then I think Andy asked the question, does Kandi forgive Portia? And she said, yeah, you know, it's been 3 years now. We need to finally move on from it. And I'm like, thank God, let us move on from that. What I hope does not happen, because I still keep hearing rumblings about this. Like, I hear rumblings that Kenya is coming back next season, and I hear rumblings that Phaedra might make a return as well. If Phaedra does return, I'm not 100% looking forward to that, because then we have to go into this whole rape shit, this whole dungeon shit all over again. But I don't think Kandi will actually, she won't want to interact with Phaedra, but she won't really have a choice when it comes to a group setting. That's going to be the only thing. Individual scenes, she won't have to film with Phaedra. But when it comes down to them, you know, sending out their call sheets of who they're going to film, you know, when they come to the call sheets of like the group shit, she's not going to have a choice with that one unless she just completely says, forget the group shit. But she really won't have a choice. So I kind of hope that I'm cool with them not bringing Phaedra back. I really don't want them to bring her back. I'm cool with Kenya coming back, because Kenya, she's cool with most of the girls with the exception of Nene. And Phaedra, that's just going to be a whole new can of worms to open up again, because like I said, Portia and Kandi have finally moved past it. But then we have to dig the shit back up again if we bring Phaedra into the mix again. Like, fuck. Don't nobody want to talk about that shit. That shit was dark as fuck. And luckily enough, I wasn't doing YouTube at that time, so I didn't have to talk about it. But I have had to talk about this Kandi and Portia shit, and I'm drained with it. But we'll see how it goes with season 12. All right, next you guys, we move over to Nene. So Nene is talking about her relationship with Greg. And, you know, she says that it was, I guess, the cancer thing for her. It put a strain on her marriage, which I can completely understand that, you know. Your marriage might not have been in the best spot before the cancer, but then once you found out Greg had cancer, it put a huge strain on your marriage. I understand that. I get that. So then, you know, she said that they're seeing a doctor, and Andy says, Andy asked, is it Dr. Jeff? She said, yep, it's Dr. Jeff. And you know, Dr. Jeff is not my favorite person. The reason why Dr. Jeff is not her favorite person is, if you guys remember, I think it was season 7 of Real Housewives of Atlanta, when all the girls went to that therapy session with Claudia, what is her last name? Claudia Jordan. So you remember, Dr. Jeff called Nene out on her shit, and she did not like that, and she left. So Andy asked if she and Greg are they sleeping in the same bed, or are they still not sleeping in the same room with each other? She says no, that they're not. So then so somebody asked a question of, like, when it comes down to her and Greg, did the cancer hold a significant weight to her considering divorce from him? She says no, that wasn't it. And I'm like, well, damn. So then Greg joins, and Andy asks Greg how's he doing, and Greg says he's doing good, and at the time he was like a few treatments away from radiation, but we currently know that Greg just rang the bell a few weeks ago, last week I think it was, the cancer-free bell. So congratulations to Greg on that one. So then Andy asked the question of why did you not listen to the doctor's orders and go through chemo and radiation first? And Greg is like, what it was he let God lead him. And he said God led him the holistic route first, but then later on, God led him toward doing the chemo and the radiation, which that's fine. And I do believe in that because, I've been praying a lot lately to God, and I just asked God, what I want. Obviously, I'm not doing it right. So I need you to show me the way, lead me on the path that you want me to go on, and whatever path you want me to go on, I will follow that path to a T, and I have. So I definitely understand where Greg is coming from with that one. And then, Andy asked him some questions about what advice would he give to, men out there. So what it is Greg was, basically ignorant to, getting his prostate done, because he would go through the whole process of getting his physical exam. But when it comes down to the doctor doing his prostate check, he would tell the doctor, we don't need to check that out, which, especially for Greg being an African-American man, and it's more prominent in African-American men, most men have that masculinity side that, oh, ain't nobody finna touch me in my ass. They're not really touching you in the ass. Technically they are, but they're feeling to make sure that you don't have cancer. What would you rather have? A man filling up your, feeling to make sure you don't have any kind of cancerous cells in your ass, or you almost not having an ass and dying? Like, I hate that hypermasculinity thing. Like when I had a physical, like at my job, we had this thing where I have insurance on my job, and every year, we have to get our physicals done in order not to get a surcharge at the beginning of the year. And I'm not about to pay them $600 for not getting my physical done. So when I went to get my physical done, because we have a nurse practitioner on site, and I asked her, I'm like, can you recommend me somebody to check me out for cancer? Because cancer runs in my family. And she was like, oh, you're very young. You don't have to worry about that. She's like, she said, you're not even 30. You don't even have to worry about that. I'm like, I do have to worry about that, because you see people younger than me with cancer and dying. So just because she's like, you're not at the recommended age for, to be checked out for this stuff. I don't care what the recommended age is. I want to know for myself. I want early prevention. I don't want to have to get up into my 40s and 50s and worry about, oh, my doctor never checked me out. Like, that shit happened to my grandmother. My grandmother had cancer, and, nobody ever caught it. And it spread to her body through my grandmother and my uncle. Their cancer spread through their body, and nobody ever caught it. Like, are you serious? So yes, I want to be proactive instead of reactive. That's my motto in life. I'd rather be proactive than reactive, because once you see it, you only have so many options. But if you can catch it early, you can do so much stuff to attack it. So, I'm glad Greg said that, and I'm glad that Greg said that there was a little bit of ignorance on his part. Men, especially my African American men, get your fucking, I don't care if you are under the age of whatever they say, ask to get checked out. It does not hurt. So then Andy starts talking about, as Greg, was he grouchy with Nene? And Greg says, well, we're not supposed to use that word. He said, oh, Dr. Jeff told y'all not to use that word. And he says, yes. So Nene says that, when it comes down to the relationship with Greg, that she takes a big bulk of the rap, take the rap for everything that happens in the relationship, which I can get that, because we see one thing of Greg on television, but then we see so much of her, and I can see that people attack her on social media compared to Greg. So I definitely see that part, and do I think it's right? No, because you only see an hour of 6 months of filming with them. So I'm on her side with that one. So then Andy was asking Greg questions about I got a new subscriber. So Andy was asking questions about things that Nene says on camera. Does Greg feel like she shares too much information? And Greg feels like there just should be when it comes down to the stuff that she says on camera, it should be a limit, which I can see that. And I'm gonna give a prime example of that. When she was on social media talking about her now it's okay to ask, should a cancer patient be acting this way? That's completely fine. But then to go off on another tangent and just talk about how he's an asshole and how he's rude, I thought that was a little bit, I think that was, and what I want to say is, I feel like it was oversharing. There are certain things that we don't need, social media or the general public just don't need to know in period. So I think I get Greg's point in that aspect. There are just things that we don't need to know that's going on in their marriage. Keep it to yourself or talk to your close friends about it. Talk to Marlo, talk to Cynthia at that time. Like, talk to people who genuinely care, which I'm not saying that, people who watching the show don't genuinely care, but I think it would be better if you just talk to your friends that love and support you, as opposed to putting it on social media and millions of people seeing that shit. So then Greg says that, they talk about the wedding, and they're talking about, did Greg ask for a divorce before going to the wedding? He's like, no, I didn't ask for a divorce. I thought I was going to the wedding. And then it comes out that he and Nene had argued before going to the wedding, and she said, well, Greg wasn't going with me, so I went by myself. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then Andy asked the women questions, how was it for them, with knowing Nene and knowing Greg and what the stuff, what they were going through. So Cynthia, excuse me. So Cynthia said it was hard for her because she's friends with Nene, and she basically just took Nene's side. And then Greg said, she's more friends with Nene. And then Andy asked the question of how Greg felt about watching the buy a wig party when Nene broke down. And Greg said, he felt bad about that because he knew that it was because of him. And I really do feel, my heart breaks for Greg. Watching everything that we've saw this season and at the reunion, my heart just completely melts and breaks for Greg. And then, Nene says, well, Greg is not a walk in the park, and he wasn't one before he got the cancer. Now, here's the question that I want to pose. So if Greg was not a walk in the park before the cancer, that means that when you guys got remarried and you guys started dating again, that means that he still was not a walk in the park at that point. And my question is, if he was not a walk in the park, why did you accept his marriage proposal, and why did you go through the process of marrying him if he's not a walk in the park, if he's this, whatever you want to call him. I'm not going to say a crappy person or a piece of shit, but if he's just not a walk in the park, why remarry him if he's not, all that he cracks up to be? All right, so then Greg said so Andy asked a question about how did Nene feel when Greg didn't want her to come to the hospital. And, she said she felt like he was pushing her away. And then Andy asked Greg, were you pushing Nene away? Greg says, no, I wasn't really pushing her away. What it was is Greg just wanted to be alone because he has never had cancer. So he doesn't know what to feel and stuff like that. So he just wanted some time to himself, which I understand. I definitely understand that. Like, if this is something new to you, this is something foreign to you, yes, you may have even if you have a significant other, you might just want to be by yourself, to talk to yourself, talk to the Lord, and just get some spiritual guidance. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with how Nene felt. Like, if she felt like he pushed her away, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I'm not going to fault her, and I'm not going to fault him at all. I see both sides of this. I see both sides of the coin, to be quite honest with you. So then Andy asked a question about their marriage. Do they both want to save their marriage? Greg says, absolutely 100%, I want to save my marriage. And Nene says, you know what? I was backed into a wall, and I'm really coming out saying no. And I get that. So I'm not gonna fault either one of them for what they feel. Again, completely understandable. And Greg says, you know what, if it's just meant for us to be friends, we'll be friends. But we do share one thing in common. We have our 20-year-old son, Brent, which we're not gonna talk about Brent, but like I said, I see both sides of the coin. See, I was able to say something positive about Nene, and it was not negative. Although she did give a little bit of negative shit, but I can see both sides of the coin with her and Greg. So, ha! All right, you guys. So next we get Marlo and we get Tanya. They are joined by the cast. Well, they're joining the cast. What, I don't know what Tanya with this, whatever this was on her dress was not the best look, nor was that necklace. And Marlo, the wig and the whatever that was that she had on, holy shit, wasn't the best look. So we start to talk about Tanya's title change. How when Tanya first came on the scene, she was Nene's friend, but then she went to being Eva's friend. So I asked Nene, do you think that was a correct change? She said yes. And so oh god. So then Marlo tried to come at Eva talking about, well, when Eva came on, wasn't she Nene's friend? And Eva was like, girl, try again. I am Eva Marcel Sterling. She's like, oh, you're Sterling now, bitch. She's been Sterling since she got married, so try again. Marlo would just be trying it really deeply. So then they asked a question about, could Nene, they asked a question about, Tokyo, when Nene was talking about Tanya would probably get married to somebody else. Nene says in Tokyo that she was just she was trying to be genuine when it came to Tanya. But I like the way that she was talking to her, that was not genuine. You kept shutting that girl down at every angle and every point. And Tanya was trying to talk about that. And then he's like, well, let me just be quiet. And I'm like, okay. You want to be this passive aggressive person. Let's just go ahead and, let's just let her do it. But she did say, I understand where you're coming from. So sarcastically. I'm like, really? Why you got to be so sarcastic? And it's something how she had a big hand and Tanya been on that couch. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not gonna knock that. She might have had a hand and Tanya been on the couch. She also might have had a hand in Tanya not getting a peach. And then Cynthia says, when it came down to Nene, I don't think Nene was being shady. I think Nene was being genuine. I'm like, okay. So then Marlo, they talking about how it felt like Tanya lingered in the group, how she just mixed, she floated from person to person. That's called getting to know people. Okay. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that was getting to know people. All right. So then Cynthia's talking about how, she feels that, when Nene doesn't need you or she's not your friend no more, Nene cuts you off without hesitation, which that is completely true. She will cut you off without hesitation. So then we have Nene and Tanya going back and forth. They actually were whispering to each other. And Nene's like, yeah, you trying to come at me, but it ain't going to work. And Tanya was like, I don't understand what you're saying. And Nene says, you're not going to get a peach. You're going to have to beg for that peach. You're going to have to pull it out your pussy. I'm like, oh my God. No, she would have to stick it up her pussy. Sorry. I'm like, what the fuck? So then Eva tells Nene, like, girl, you are being very passive aggressive. And Nene's like, I'm not being passive aggressive. If I was being aggressive, you would know it. She didn't say aggressive. She said you are being passive aggressive, and you are being that passive aggressive. Like, I don't know how she doesn't see that. So then Eva's talking about how, watching the show, she thought that Nene was a friend, but, well, she said how she thought Nene was a friend before. But watching the show, she realized, bitch, Nene is not my damn friend. So then they talk about in Tokyo how, Andy asked Eva, how does she feel about Marlo talking about her kids? And she was like, first of all, I really didn't give, the fattest of fucks about it. Because one, your mama probably got different baby daddies, so boom. And then your best friend over there, she got 2 kids by 2 different men. So try again, girl. And then Marlo says, yeah, my mama does have kids by other men. Well, girl, why would you bring that up? It was irrelevant. You was losing that read session that Eva was giving to your ass, and that's the only thing you can come up with. And Marlo's like, I had some good ones in there. They said, girl, no, you didn't. And he asked who won the fight, who won that read. Everybody says Eva, which absolutely Eva won that. Especially when Eva read her about that fucking wig. Oh my God, I died laughing. So yeah, we're gonna move on at this point. All right, so next we're gonna move over to Shamari. So we talk about Shamari. And Andy is talking about, if Shamari has a drinking problem. And Marlo's like, my intuition tells me that she does have a drinking problem. And Shamari's like, girl, when I need to talk about handbags and stuff like that, then I'll ask for your intuition. But until then, intuition means pensions, stuff like that. I'll ask for your intuition, but I don't. And then, Marlo's like, all the women here on this on the stage know that Shamari has a drinking problem. And Candy was like, I don't think she has a drinking problem. And she's like, but you said something to her at the party. She said, yes, because we were at a party and I didn't want her to get super duper drunk at the party, which I got that. So then, Portia's like, I don't think that she has a drinking problem. I think she has a problem with drinking. And I knew what Portia meant. What Portia was trying to say is she thinks when it comes down to Shamari does not know her limit to stop drinking, which that is true because we clearly saw this all season that she doesn't know her limit to stop. So then Marlo says, she heard from the streets that, she has a drinking problem. I'm like, girl, you, Mama Joyce, and Jocelyn with these streets are talking. The streets must be telling y'all a lot of shit. And Marlo, but the streets talk about you. Do you listen to what the streets say about you? Okay. All right. Yeah. So then I love how Shamari kept reading Marlo because she was like, girl, you've been on this show for 6 seasons. I still don't know what the hell you do. The whole viewing public don't know what she does. Because Simply Marlo LLC, I don't know what that is. And then Andy asked Marlo the question, like, what's the difference between you sitting outside your hotel room drunk and her? And, she says, well, I wasn't touching people's crotches. Different people react different ways when they get drunk. Like, stop trying to be judgmental. Like, oh, my God. And then Shamari came back with a really good read. She said, I don't trust a convict with a lisp. I said, bitch, who? So then, Andy asked Shamari, how does she feel about watching the season back with Ronnie? She says, I enjoyed watching this season. And, she's talking about how, Marlo is bigger than me when it comes to the drink. So her body can absorb all that. Her fat can absorb all that alcohol. Mine can't because I'm not that big. And she said, they talk about, the Bowwig party where she threw up on Eva's shoes and Nene's floor. She says, you know what? I felt bad about throwing up on Eva's shoes and in Nene's bathroom. And you know what I did for Eva? Because I wasn't with those shoes clean, but what was more, getting them clean or just giving her some money to buy a new pair. She said, you know what, girl, I just got you a Zara's gift card for $70 so you can go buy you a new pair of shoes. So then, Andy asked her if her bye days are behind her. She said, yes, they are. And then he asked the question about how it was to relive the open relationship on watching it on television. And she says, basically it really just hurt rewatching that stuff, but they gotten past it. So then somebody asked a question about, did Ronnie set the rules that she couldn't sleep with other men? And she says, no, when it came down to it, it was both of us who set these rules. And somebody gave a good read. Because they were asking a question about, why do the girls talk about Shamari's fashion when all Nene does is wear a t-shirt, some jeans, and a caftan? That's not fashion. And then, when Marlo's like, well, we know she got money to buy the clothes. Bitch, when I tell y'all, Tanya had a good one. No, we don't, because we weren't allowed to go in her closet. I said, oh, that was a good one, Tanya. Come through with that. You should have said it louder, but come through fucking Tanya. All right, next we talked about the Bywig party. So they showed, the clips from it. And then one of the clips, they did show Portia saying, take my mic off of me because I'm scared. So for Nene to be on her YouTube channel talking about that, Portia went in the studio and recorded that. Well, production just showed that she didn't do that. So then Andy wants to talk about the hair, He asked, did some of the girls strategically place their hair? Portia said, yeah, because I didn't know how my edges was looking. So, girl, yeah, I did that. And then they talk about Cynthia. Did Cynthia cheat by putting her hair in the two little scrunchy ponytail things? And she said, no, because she said, no, I didn't cheat because it was actually my real hair. And they all said that it was a free anything for them. All right, so then Andy wants to know, he asked, Nene about the questions about her saying that, there are girls in the hood who, have a baby in their stomach and, they got a baby in a stroller, talking about Portia. And I got the parallel, I definitely got it because Portia was pregnant at the time and there was just no valid reason for her to be late. I mean, unless something, came up with the baby. That's the only, unless you went to the hospital and you had to get something checked out, that would be it. But so I got the parallel, I got the comparison, because there are girls out there that are pregnant and they got babies, and they they walk into the bus station, train station, wherever they got to go to get where they got to go on time. So I got that. And so Portia said, you know what, at this point I don't even give a damn what you're talking about. She's like, oh, you don't give a damn? She said, no, I don't. So then Andy asked the question, but what's so different about you being late in Tokyo? And Portia, she's like, well, I was just a few minutes late and she was hours late. Sorry, Nene, but late is late. Like, late is late. Like, if you go to your job and you late, you get paid late. It don't matter if you're 10 minutes late. It don't matter if you're 15 minutes late. It don't matter if you a minute late. You gonna get docked a minute. You gonna get docked whatever time that is. So, late is late is late. So then Nene says, because they were talking about when Marlo wanted to go over to her house to support her. She's like, I'm the type of person that I want to be alone. I get that, because I'm that person as well. Like, if there's something traumatic going on with me at the time, I don't necessarily want a lot of people surrounding me. I know people want to surround you and just make sure that you're good and okay. But I first have to be by myself and just, get myself together, and, then I'll come around. So I got that, and I'm not going to knock that either. But Nene does apologize to Marlo, but it's kind of seemed like a half-ass apology. Whew. So now I'm gonna go dark. I'm gonna go rude. I'm gonna get a little bad on Nene, because Tanya was trying to talk to Nene about how she would like to support her, and Nene just turned her head, and then Cynthia was talking to her, and Portia was talking to her like she was just a nasty piece of shit, for real. Like, I'm like, oh my God. And they were just trying to tell her that she can't accept support, which, looking at that shit, she cannot accept support from anybody. So Andy asked, like, what's wrong with you, Nene? And Marlo says, well, she's hurting. We get that, but you don't have to take that hurt out on everybody else. It's not warranted. It's not needed. But Marlo does say, what, Nene, you do need to let people in. So, Marlo says, what, I do believe some of the girls on the couch. And Andy's like, well, what girls do you believe? She was like, I believe I believe Portia, and I believe Cynthia. So then Andy asked a question about Portia's belt at the bi-wig party in the closet. And Nene stops, because Portia was about to answer the question. And Nene stops and says, you know what, I had a breakdown. And, she just got confrontational with Andy. And I'm like, why are you coming at Andy? Andy is just asking these questions. And that's where the reunion ended. So, you guys, that is end of part one. Not part one, but part two. Like the video. Leave your comments, good, bad, or indifferent. Like the video. Subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys later for Married to Medicine Los Angeles. And we only got one episode left of Married to Medicine Los Angeles. I wonder if they're going to do a reunion. And that'd be interesting. I don't know if they're doing a reunion for Married to Medicine Los Angeles. But I'll see you guys then.